presentation, here, this is for my whole, if you want to see
But
the
yeah, he just did some.
PowerPoints.
He just did
You
just
can use
some
this little
generals and
QR code. Okay,
He
so,
went like one semester and then.
Okay, welcome everyone. We're gonna go ahead and get started with our teacher discussion. Catherine is not here today, so I am going to be filling in for her. And question for you, we sent out we're doing like a method book review this year, and I'm hoping we can fit this in 20 minutes because I feel like there's so much information to talk about. But did any of you look over the methods that we were going to review today in the newsletter?
I saw them.
Okay, the reason that I'm asking is because Catherine, Jane Tan was on the list, RCM, Piano Adventures, and I feel like maybe that was it. Maybe it was just those three. And Catherine knows a lot about Jane Tan and RCM, but I don't. So we're gonna switch it today, if that's okay, unless somebody is like, you know, come prepared to share. All right.
I don't think any of us care.
Perfect.
Because
That's
we're not doing
wonderful.
it.
Because you're not doing it.
That's what I would.
So we're gonna start with a discussion of Piano Safari. Does anybody here use Piano Safari? Okay. What are your thoughts on it, like in general?
It has been so successful for my students that I wish I'd have known about it a long
Yes.
time ago.
Yes, 100% agree. I switched over 95% of all beginners. Now I started with Piano Safari. I'll just every once in a while have a student that I'm like, oh, we want to do a different method, which we'll talk about today as well. But I brought all of my Piano Safari stuff and it's a lot. So I'm gonna put it back by the lunch tables here when we're done with our discussion. And then during lunch, if you guys wanna look through the different books and things like that I brought. But I'll kind of give you an overview. Have you ever used the Piano Safari Friends?
I've not.
Okay.
Just use that, yeah.
So I'll show you guys this really quick because I think it's fantastic. So Piano Safari Friends comes with, you can get a teacher guide with it, which is wonderful, that lays out lesson plans. And this is meant for very young students, like 3, 4 years old. 3, 4, 5. And it is really super duper cute. They have these cards that go with it that they teach rhythms by saying animal names, and they do this in the Piano Safari Repertoire Level 1 as well, but it works so well in this younger group. They have a big rhythmic focus. So they do things like Zachariah Zebra, like Zachariah Zebra for 4 8th notes, 2 quarter notes. So they're introduced to 8th notes immediately, which is amazing. And they learn all of this stuff through a lot of rote learning. Especially in this book, it's a lot of rote learning. And they have, I'll show you for a second some of the things that they do that are a little bit different. They have these songs called Follow the Leader songs, where you play as a duet on the piano with them. You'll play down here. You show them what they're supposed to play, and then they echo you. And they just use second finger, so everything stays very super ergonomic for small hands. And it's just meant to be like an introduction to the piano. So this is just introducing for younger kids. It probably would work great in a group setting, if anybody was interested in that. So there you go. And the teacher guide is super useful. It'll walk you through everything. I mean, literally step 1, step 2, step 3, like it's fantastic. So if anyone's ever been interested in teaching preschoolers, this is kind of a really great place to start. And then, sorry, like I said, I have a million pianos. I love Piano Safari, it's the best. So these are their books that you'd start with, kind of like this book, I'd start 6-year-olds here comfortably, like 1st grade. Really easy. And Piano Safari, the big draw to Piano Safari for me is rote learning, which I know people kind of feel differently about rote learning, but I personally love it. I think that the students learn so much through rote playing about exposure to dynamics and rhythm and things that are more complicated than they could read right away. That's really fantastic. But what Piano Safari does that's so fantastic is they also incorporate reading right from the start with sight reading cards. So, and I can even pass these around. And they have a different set for each book that are meant to be done daily. And so these will be things like in level 1, They'll start them with off-staff reading, but you can see they have a rhythm example and then a playing example, and the rhythm, they're right on eighth notes right from the start, which I think is wonderful. And you can teach them either with numerical counting, with the animal rhythms that they learn, or you can teach with ta, TT. And they teach all three different versions of rhythm reading in the books. So they kind of learn to do all sorts of different rhythm things. My students who have done Piano Safari are the best rhythm readers I've ever had. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, the level 1 card, even if you don't do anything else, the level 1 cards are great.
They're
The
fantastic.
first peak one is on the black piece,
Mhm.
and I have my kids say their finger numbers out loud, so they are really good at their finger numbers by the time they get done. They're just in the 2, 3, 4. Second yellows are on white keys.
Yep.
The third level is seconds, sames and seconds only. The
And
fourth level is skips, where you teach skips and sames. And then the fifth, they combine it. So they really concentrate on those things. And the kids that didn't get skips before get skips by the time they're done with those cards.
Yes, these are fantastic. I know a lot of teachers who will use the sight reading cards even if they don't use the Piano Safari books. They are fantastic. Yeah, go
Do
ahead.
you have your students buy them, or do you just check them out to them?
They buy them because
Okay.
I have a lot of students who are using
Okay.
like the same level. I have a lot of parents too who will take the whole set and get them spiral bound, which is really, really helpful if you have siblings using them. That way they don't get lost. They do start from landmarks. The landmarks they use in Piano Safari are G, the treble G, middle C, and then they use bass C as their landmark just because they can harmonize a lot easier if they're going from bass C. So, and my kids who use Piano Safari, by the time they're all the way done through level 3, they have amazing reading fluency. They are, able to use dynamics really great. The technique is fantastic. And this is an all-in-one method, so it has the theory built into the repertoire book. So they have like theory assignments inside the books that they do. So you don't have to have the parents go off and buy 6 different books. They have technique, performance pieces, reading pieces, everything is inside the books.
So then
Yeah.
but if it's siblings, then the sibling would need a new book so that they can write in it.
Well, yes, sometimes I've had parents, and I don't know how legal it is, if they're using it for their own children, I'll have them photocopy it and then just do it on the photocopy. So, yeah,
The theory part.
the theory parts,
Yeah,
yes.
makes sense.
Because it's not only the case. I never done it.
Yeah, no, it's great stuff. Yeah, so and I'll show you kind of what the rote learning looks like in level 1. So these are kids that have never played the piano before, ever, and I'll show you the kinds of things they have them playing right from the beginning. The thing that I found with kids who use this is they love the piano. They just absolutely love it. They get addicted to playing. So they play Hungry Herbie Hippo right away. And it's that one. And it's really cool, they have them transpose it right away. So this is like, they've barely learned anything about the piano and they are on the keys, they are playing, they're having fun with these super cute songs. And if you have a kid who is older, they also have an older beginner method, which is wonderful as well. And all it does is take out the cute pictures of the animals. A lot of the songs are the same. And it does move a little faster. Like there's only 2 books instead of 3. So it's a little faster. Yeah, go
So I
ahead.
have one question. I had a transfer student that came from Piano Safari. And the one thing the parent told me is she didn't know how to help him practice because he didn't remember. So what he did in class, then.
I will send videos or there's YouTube videos online.
Okay,
Of
well, that's good to
every
know. That's
single
what I
rote
was just gonna
piece,
ask you.
there is a YouTube video.
Okay.
But if it's like a certain, because sometimes I'll break those rote pieces down into smaller parts and I'll make a video for students and I'll send them the video so that they have that to practice at home. So,
Thank you.
any other thoughts, comments? They also have some great supplementaries. This is like the best composition book I've ever found in my life. It's wonderful. So sometimes, even if you don't want to use the method, their supplements are great. It's a great resource to just go and look at the different types of things that they have. Yeah, go ahead.
And there's teacher resources that are
Yes.
free, like you said, the book for the little kids. They have a teacher guide for every single piece, what you can do, what the point of it is, and this is what I do, and so you can look at every lesson if you want to, and or not, figure it out yourself, so.
Yeah.
When I first looked at this, when I heard about it from somewhere, I found a YouTube video where the 2 ladies that wrote the method talk about it for an hour on YouTube, presenting what it was, and that's, I did like some research, I found my research. video, it was great.
YouTube is awesome.
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful method. The kids have a lot of joy, and when they learn those rote pieces, and the other thing about the rote pieces is they teach them to understand patterns, which is really fantastic. So they're learning to memorize really, really quickly because of these rote pieces. So then when they later go into higher level repertoire, it's easier for them to memorize because they've learned to recognize patterns, they've learned to move through different keys really easily. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think those rote pieces, they have a book that just has those.
They do, it's
in
called pattern pieces.
Pattern pieces.
Yes,
So
so
I
if you,
have that, and I've used those like Hungry Herbie Hippo.
Yes.
Even though I don't use that method, but those are the students' favorites.
they are, they become the very, if you want your kids to love the piano, it's like, it's like the secret sauce. Every student I have who's worked through Piano Safari loves to practice, which is crazy, but they all love it. They just think piano's the best thing. So anyway, that's obviously my favorite method. Has anyone heard of Piano Discoveries? It's another one. Yeah, have you ever used it? Okay, do you have thoughts?
I used it at,
So is that the piano about,
It is, Piano Discoveries is, yes, it is.
okay,
let me see, maybe it's not the right one. No, I have not used that one, it's a different one I'm thinking of. Sorry.
Yeah, what do you think about this?
well, the songs are slightly lovelier than some of the favorites and stuff in the early grades.
Yes.
And so kids love to play it. I don't really teach with it right now. It's actually hard to get.
It is, it's really hard, it's harder to find this one. Yeah.
You can't get them all. And, but my daughter teaches her girls piano discoveries, and they're doing a beautiful job.
So, has anyone else used these? I would say that this is really designed towards moving children towards very classically focused music. They do include lots of beautiful supplements that are like jazzy or ragtime or things like that, but they use a lot of counterpoint in the left hand. And so the students have to be a little bit more dedicated to practicing because their left hand is having to do a lot of work. It's not just chords. So I know, I like it for that reason too.
A plus as well as a minus.
Exactly, yes, it can be a good thing or a bad thing. It's a very traditional multi-key method. So they start in middle C position. This entire book is just meant to expose to the piano. The whole thing is in middle C position. So people have different thoughts about that. Like, should we let our kids just play in middle C position and nothing else, when they're 5? But when they move into the Explorer book, this one, they're moving through different keys. So they'll say key of C and then key of G and then, so just a very traditional multi-key. But the counterpoint is what makes it, I feel like, a lot different than other similar methods, is they're having to use that left hand a lot more. So I've had one student who worked all the way through level 4, which is the furthest they go on this one, and he is fantastic. Like, he's my best note reader that I've ever had with classical music, but I would say this is definitely not a method for everyone. I use it for very select students. They have to be willing to put in the work, and they have to be really patient. So, yeah, any other thoughts on
I do
this?
think it does leave the C position and goes like a white key D or something early.
It might. I think this is a starter book, which a lot of, this is technically their first level one.
But
And it
I
does.
like, there's an on-staff starter and an off-staff.
Yes, there
starter,
is.
But I like the on-staff.
Yep. I've never used the off-staff starter book. I don't even own it. So I only use the on-staff too.
Yeah, I've used that book before, and I'm not using it right now.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you said. I'm willing to let your book say this or that.
Yeah.
It moves faster
Yep.
than, and some kids get frustrated.
Some
with
kids
it.
get really frustrated. They
Yeah,
kind of
so,
shut down with
yeah.
it. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you have a very particular student who, I use this for young kids who catch on to reading really, really fast, who need a method that has cartoons in it, honestly, but who are ready to move faster. It's kind of an accelerated method for younger kids, if that makes sense. So, any other thoughts on this? Okay. The last one we were supposed to discuss today is Piano Adventures. Who has used Piano Adventures? I feel like so many of us probably have. So what are your thoughts? What are positives and what are negatives on Piano Adventures?
So favorite.
Yes, favorite. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Darling duets.
Yes, agreed. We've all used it. We have to have thoughts. There's a reason why we've all used it. Why is it so popular? Yeah, go ahead.
I think it does a good job of teaching musicality.
Yes.
I feel like I've had a few students who don't catch on as quickly, that struggle a bit with it. I think the literature they choose is good,
Right.
but I have had a few kids I've switched over to something else that's just more basic chord structure in the left hand because it's too much.
Right.
For them.
Yeah.
But I think overall it's good.
Any other thoughts? Go ahead.
I find that most of my kids from our students, they like it.
Yes.
There's something about it that makes sense to them. And they get excited about what they're doing.
Right.
On most of the lessons. Most of the pieces and so forth. So I think it's really exciting. It's successful for me. So,
Yeah. I agree. Students tend to like it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, for the most part, they like the pieces.
Right.
They're excited to play it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I just want to mention their method for younger kids, the one's called My First
Yes.
Piano Adventures. That one has been really good for my younger students, just because it takes a long, they just stay off reading for a long time, then they go on. But it includes so many fun things with audio that goes with it.
Right.
It introduces a lot of classical composers, which is really fun, and they play pieces from those. So that's probably my favorite part, is that younger student version.
Yes. Does anyone have any frustrations? Yeah, Jenny, go ahead first. Yeah.
Well, I have a transfer family that we're all in Bastion, and I've been teaching a lot with Faber, and so it's like, there's just no logic. There's more logic to Faber than Bastion, as far as I can tell.
Yes.
And these kids are struggling with their Bastion stuff, and I'm gonna do some switching, because it's just, so.
So it's better than Bastion.
There's something smooth about the process
Yes.
of Faber. I switched entirely Faber for COVID because I had to buy a whole set of everything.
Right.
So it wasn't like, can you show me a picture of what song you're on? And that.
Yes.
Online. So anyway, then I really went all out for Faber, and most of my students do really well with it.
Yeah.
If they're really gonna be stubborn about note reading, Faber starts without key signatures.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, they hit you with key signatures. And some people do well, and then I've got one that's just like, okay, could you play that with the sharps now? It's like,
Yes, this is the only negative that I found about Faber, is they sometimes take a while to introduce concepts like that. Like, I feel like 8th notes all the way in level 2A, and then the 16th notes at the end of they don't introduce 16th notes, I think, until the end of it's the very end of 3B when they do Pachelbel. And so I feel like they're a little slow sometimes introducing some concepts, and I feel like that can be problematic because the kids get very used to playing without 8th notes, and then all of a sudden there's 8th notes, and it's like, what do we even, and it makes it, I feel like, a little harder for them. Yeah, it's in level 2A, so it's not, yeah, so it just, and 16th notes, it's clear almost to level 4, like we said, yeah. And I feel like so that's been my only issue with Faber, is that I feel like, unlike the key signatures.
I agree. I feel like I add things in,
Yes.
have to.
Yeah. So I actually will teach the first 3 levels, the primer, the level 1, and the level 2, alongside Piano Safari with my students to give them extra reading support. So I do both. We do Piano Safari, and I do the primer level, the level 1, and the level 2A lesson books only of Piano Adventures alongside Piano Safari. I just teach them side by side. And then I feel like we get the best of both worlds. I feel like it's sometimes hard to get one method that has it all, So, any other thoughts?
Just a question, so
Yeah.
do you have your students buy both
Yes.
method books?
But the thing is with Piano Safari, they're not having to buy a theory book or anything. They're just getting one Piano Safari book and one Piano Adventures book. That's it. So I feel like that's not very much. Yeah, go ahead.
I would say that's also a downfall for Piano Adventures, because my students, inevitably somebody forgets one of the 4 books.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
would say, I have some parents that do bind them all together, and that's helpful because then they just pick up their one book.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead.
I use method
then I have them go into something that they might have already or
Right.
whatever I want to use. And one family has this piano adventures and they can't read, but the oldest didn't use the beginning method that I use, and she still doesn't know her notes. And she's quite advanced, sorry, she's quite advanced, yeah, it's very frustrating. She's quite advanced playing, but still she struggles with her notes. So I'm taking her back to what I first teach my students.
Yes.
And that's not a good thing.
Yeah, I feel like I encountered that a lot with my students who were using just piano adventures. It was harder for them to catch on to note reading. But I know some of you, like what you're saying, you have a way of teaching notes. If you already have a way of teaching notes that's really, really solid, then it's not as big of an issue.
The other students are doing fine in it.
Yeah, yeah.
But she didn't have the beginning.
Yeah, so when I use it alongside the Piano Safari and the sight reading cards, I find that they just enjoy playing. It becomes the easy book that they like to just play out of, so. All right, okay, that's it for our teacher discussion. We need to move on to announcements. So other than state conference this weekend, I hope all of you are coming to state conference. We are going to be meeting. I'm super directionally challenged, so I have no idea where I'm gonna be, but southeast corner of the garden room is where we're supposed to be meeting for our chapter photo on Friday. So at lunchtime, meet in the southeast corner, we'll take a photo, and then we can eat lunch together. So any other announcements? Yeah, go ahead.
I brought the box of AIM packets for Leslie and Tanya, so it's just sitting in the back. If you're part of AIM, grab your packet over here.
Wonderful. Yeah, go ahead.
So we need to make sure everybody signs up to help out with our next month's
Yes.
presentation. So you don't have a choice, everyone has to help. Sorry. So the earlier you get onto the sign up, then the earlier you get to choose what you want to do, right?
What is it?
So, okay, so it was in the newsletter.
Yeah, just for 1 second. If for some reason you are not getting the newsletter, please email me, okay? So I can make sure that you're on the list, because I know a couple of you have talked to me about that. Okay, go ahead, Shelley.
Okay, so in the newsletter, what they have done is this is when we're doing our silent film recital. So they want us to actually be able to do one next month, but they don't want to have to play all the music for the entire thing. So what they're just gonna do, I think, is they're putting a silent film up on the screen from the projector. And what it is every section of the silent film has a particular mood or kind of music that they want. You can choose whatever music you want that fits what their description is. And it tells you like how much time and everything.
And it's okay if it's like what your students would play.
Yes, it does
The
not
idea
have
of
to be
this is we're
complicated.
putting together what we would maybe do for a silent film recital with
For
our
a
students,
recital,
right?
yes.
So, okay.
So don't think you have to pull out something complicated or learn something before next month. It can be something you can sight read.
Thank you. And if you didn't get the newsletter, the sign up is in the newsletter, so please let me know so I can forward that to you. Okay, any other announcements? Okay, Shelley.
Okay. You probably need to set up just a little bit. Okay, it will be nice. Okay.
And yes, I'm gonna put all of these methods back here, so if during lunch anyone wants to look at them, feel free.
There's a beginning.
This one goes directly to her projector. Guessing we turn this on that way. need this other piano, right? Okay, that's fine. I told him that he didn't have to put the lid up because I figured we probably didn't need that part. So. Oh, it's kind of, sort of, do we need to adjust something on it? Shift, oh, shift, oh, there we go. I didn't know how to do it, so I'm glad you do.
Getting there.
Aw, and I won't even give you all of it. Do we need to just make it smaller? You can try the other one. Anybody know how to use this?
Nope. Maybe display option?
Okay.
That would be my best guess, but. Nope, no, that doesn't look great.
I wonder if we just need to pull it back. Do you think that
Try.
would make a difference?
I don't think so, but we can try.
Let's see.
Nope.
No, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. So let's go back to menu. It mostly should. Right. Do you guys know what she wants you to tell? We can't slide. It'll be fine.
But I'll need to take a picture of all those. How do you link to your whole slide?
I can send it to her and she can distribute it. We can do it in like a PDF and just send it out to all of you.
That would be
All of
perfect.
your, PowerPoint stuff.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I can just
willing to
email
share.
it to her.
She's willing to share.
I just need it for the notes, for the minutes.
Oh, okay, yeah. Is it okay to get it later? If she sends it to you?
Okay, perfect. All right, well, unless somebody knows how to fix that, I don't know.
It's
Do
okay.
you know how to, Mindy?
I promise it looks right on my screen.
So
So
as
when
long
we
as we
send it-
don't doubt that it looks right on her screen.
No, it's fine. Actually, it is a little.
See if you can, I don't know if you diminish your screen a little bit.
Okay, that's it.
It looks like it's just more square than rectangular is the problem. It's still the same. It's okay. I don't know.
That's all right.
Okay.
Most of the stuff's on your paper anyway, so it's okay.
Okay, I will do a quick introduction. This awesome woman up here is Crystalyn Meller. She happens to be my sister, just in case you did not see any kind of resemblance. We both have the curly hair and stuff. All right, so she is a music project coordinator at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. She received her Bachelor's of Music, Commercial Music, with an emphasis in music composition from UVU. She's a member of the Tabernacle Choir in Temple Square. Her primary roles at the church include coordinating the guest choirs at General Conference and coordinating, arranging, and proofreading sheet music in all languages for the magazines and youth music. She also coordinates the reviews of the new music and arrangements submitted in the annual church music submission. She ran her private music studio for over 25 years before transferring over to full-time workforce. Some of her favorite parts of teaching includes arranging pieces for her students and teaching her students basic composition skills so they can create or arrange their own pieces. She is married to her best friend James and they're the parents of 3 wonderful sons. She is also my favorite sister. Don't tell any of my other sisters that. And I just have to throw out a really big piece of praise I have for her. She got to actually arrange a piece for the multicultural choir that was in the Saturday evening session, and it was her first one that was debuted in General Conference. So she is awesome. That's all I have to say.
This is the Jesus is the way, the Tongan
wow.
piece that's been all over.
That was it. So you guys can go on and look and you can say, I know who arranged that awesome piece. So, there you go.
Okay, Well, I was a little surprised when Shelley asked me to do this. I don't generally go out and teach classes or anything like that. It's just, I think sometimes as musicians, there's certain parts of us that like to perform and be out there, and then other parts that are just like, this is for me. And being creative in terms of arranging music is just something I love to do. There's really no right or wrong way to do it, and so I think that's why it's hard sometimes to teach a class on it, because everybody's gonna do something a little bit different. And I think that's the beauty of being creative, is that there isn't a wrong way, and it's all just comes down to what your preferences are. So I'll share with you today some of the things that I found that seemed to work for me while I had my studio and was helping students as they would bring me, you know, I'm sure you've all had it when a student shows up and says, I want to play this song that I heard, right? And you're like, first of all, I can't find it. Second of all, I definitely can't find it in your capability level, you know, and so, but you've probably also had it where they have found a song they love, even if it's one you assign to them, and they play it for a recital, and you just see how happy they are to play it. It's like their new favorite thing, right? So being able to arrange things is really, really helpful, just for, I think students, either their parents make them take piano, but like the thing that makes them want to do it is being able to find songs they love, and that they'll sit back down and do over and over again. So this is really helpful in finding something that they love and will come back to. So hopefully we can give you some tools today to make that work. You can mostly read all of these, so overall that's not too bad. So I always have to put this little disclaimer out there. Generally for educational teaching, you don't usually have to deal with the copyright stuff as much, but just know what the copyright laws are for like each piece that you are choosing to arrange. Sometimes you will run into a little issue, especially if you're distributing it. You don't want to get yourself in trouble. But usually for educational purposes, you're okay to do it. So I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not a lawyer. Don't want to get like anybody in trouble, but just make sure you know what those rules are. So anytime that you're going to do an arrangement, you obviously have to find out, okay, where am I going to get the source or resource? Am I going to have to plunk it out by ear? Am I going to be able to find a lead sheet online? Am I going to, how am I going to find it? So generally when students have come to you and wanting to do a song, what have you usually done to be able to find it or find some form of the song? What's that?
Google it first.
Google it. Google is a great thing. I know even Shelley has come to me before and said, I can't find the song anywhere. Can you find it? And oftentimes I can find something. Not necessarily on the level that they need, but I can usually find something. Lead sheets are probably the easiest things to find. And then at least you have the chord base and the melody. So that's a really good way to start when that's the case. Any other ways? Everybody else a Google person, or just like you show up at the music store and you're trying to find it?
I think I also do Google, but I guess the way that I research it, right, is
Yeah.
I always search for like the image, because rather than just popping out a whole bunch of links, if it
Yes.
pops out the image of what the music looks like, then I can hurry and scroll past the ones that I know are way too hard.
Yeah, and I think that's also helpful because sometimes they'll tell you this is the name of my song, and there's like more than one song that has that name. And so if you have at least an idea of what the melody is, or you know, the genre of it, then that helps. So that's a great thing.
I have different abilities in my group of students, and so you want to be, you know, have some of them be interested and have it hard enough. But the ones that can't play that hard, you have to rewrite it for them.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, sometimes I'll find music that doesn't have a piano part to it, so I have to write my own piano part to go with the music.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very good. I know I've had a few times that my son has this thing where he tries to say, Mom, you need to know this song, and if you don't have it or find it somewhere, or I don't like the arrangement, I need you to make me one. And I'm like, that's not really like how this works all the time. It does take some time to do that. But when you get the students involved in it, it's really, really helpful too. So let's chat about that for a second. So understanding your students. So this is kind of what you were just saying. You've got people on all different capability levels, and usually they'll give you something that it's just too hard. Now, every song, if somebody comes to you with a song, sometimes there really is not a way to make it work. So don't feel defeated if, like my favorite one that students would come to me with, and they were like these early beginners, and they'd bring me the song This Is Halloween from, you know what I mean? Do you know which song I'm talking about from, what is that? Nightmare Before Christmas. And there's accidentals everywhere. And I'm like, oh honey, you're just gonna have to wait a couple years on this one because it's just not gonna work. So sometimes that happens, but oftentimes you're able to figure out something that will work with them. So figure out first what difficulty level you feel like you can, you need to arrange for. Then how can I make this more accessible for them? That can look a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's, okay, this student is at a level that literally just getting the melody out is gonna be all that they can do. So how can I make that work for two hands? And for their two little hands too. And then is this song, like I said, it's not every song is even possible for their stage of development, but is there something I can do to the rhythm to make it easier? On the sheet that I gave you a couple of simple rundowns of like what each basic level can look like when you're writing a piece, what things are gonna be really important to keep in mind. Some of it is the rhythm, some of it's, okay, what kind of 5-finger patterns have they already learned? Is it something where they're doing both hands at the same time right now? Okay, if I'm doing a pattern for their left hand, is it just one note at a time? Can they do chords? Can they do intervals in the left hand? What does that look like for them, etc.? Usually once you start getting things that are a little bit more advanced, that's actually pretty easy to find sheet music oftentimes, so it usually is for the younger beginners that it's tricky. However, we have some fun things that we're gonna talk about for the older ones too. I already talked about accidentals, and then sometimes you'll find a melody that's a really wide range, and so even with 10 fingers, you're like, okay, what if my thumbs cover two basses? Then can we make this work? But then if you have stepwise motion, you don't want to go thumb, thumb right next to each other. So some of those little things that you want to keep in mind as you're trying to do this. So what Shelley had mentioned, one of the things that I do is I do a lot of arranging for, at least for a child's magazine. It's called The Friend that I work for. And so the friend oftentimes will come and say, either this is a specific song that we want done for the kids that are reading this magazine, so young children, or they'll also come and say, okay, we have this song that's a new song that nobody knows yet, we want in the magazine, but we also have to keep in mind that worldwide, people's ability to play the piano is different than it is, especially in Utah. Utah, we actually have a lot of musical capabilities, and there's a lot of musical resources. And so if I'm trying to think, okay, they want to sing this in Africa, how many people can play the piano in Africa, and how hard of stuff can they play there? How can I make this more accessible for them? So knowing the person you're writing for is really, really important. So they came to me one day and said, okay, this is a song that we did for a child's version of it a few years ago, and we don't really like the version. Like, it's not they didn't like it, it was like, okay, here's the song that's really the hardest one in this book that we play on the adult level, but now we made it for the children's version, but it's still kind of not on a level that we really think that it flows the same way that the adult version does. Can we make it flow, but make it accessible to children? And so I'm going to show you that on here. So this song is called Baptism. And so any of you that are familiar with this song, okay. So like, yeah, it's the hardest song in the book, right? And it's not going to show you. Like, that makes me even more upset. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to play it for you either way, so you kind of know. But I want you to listen for what are some things that kind of make it so this song is a likable song. What's something that makes it, I don't know, that makes it distinct for, oh, if I'm going to play that, I really like that it does this, or I like that it does this. What if I pull that out? Would it change the whole mood of the song? Things like that. So I'm going to play just a little bit of it. I'm just really sad I won't show it to you, but.
If you have your music app, you could probably look at
That's
it.
true. If you have the music app, it's on there. But anyway, and I'm not gonna do the intro.
What's the number, Chrissy?
100 actually.
Okay, thanks.
So. in E flat, okay? So that's not generally something that's very simple for little hands yet, especially if you're doing a 5-finger pattern in E flat. Thumbs on black keys are not the most comfortable thing ever, right? So the version that they gave me that was already done, I'm just gonna show you kind of a little bit. So it's still in the same key, okay? So this song in the original is in 12/8. What did they do here? They put it in 4/4, right? So you can see kind of a little bit of lift there. So much easier, right? But you're still dealing with the same key with little thumbs.
And it's still all over, so it's not easy.
Yeah, it's still tricky, right? There's still tricky aspects of it. But they took that.
They lost the flow.
They lost the flow. Yeah. So now it sounds like this. Okay, so that's like basically what the idea of what it is. So, all right, so what are some things from the original that were lost? You mentioned one was flow.
Right, because often you teach that song talking about there's a river involved, and this
Yes.
is the sound of the river, is those.
Yes, for sure.
I think it sounds kind of clunky now.
Sounds a little clunky now. You feel like you need a duet version with it, right? Like, okay, the student's gonna play this, which is totally great. You could pull out both of those versions and definitely could come up with that. So that's not a terrible thing. That's actually a good thing, right? As long as you have that second person.
Yeah, but instead of the 12/8, there's, with the 4/4, there was just a plain 8th note, so you played it correctly as far as the 12/8 goes, but really, it would have been instead of
Yes.
that triplet feeling.
The triplet feeling's gone, for sure. So some of those things are something that I was like, okay, I love it when they throw a challenge at me. They're like, here, good luck. Like, we don't want this, but we don't want this, but how do we get the best of both worlds? And I remember I went through, this was actually one of the first projects I worked on when I got this new job. So it was one of those don't mess it up, right? You know what I mean? I'm like, what if I mess it up and everything? So I remember calling Shelly and saying, I just need you to look at it. Tell me, can little fingers still do it? Like, I know what they can, but like, I just want to make sure it feels like it's filling the task at hand, right? So they, so what I did, this is what mine sounds like, and I did change the key, so that's gonna be like the first thing that you notice. But, and again, there's no right or wrong way to do it. I'm not saying this was like the best way to do it necessarily. Like, I'm sure that there are many options, but this was the option that I came up with. So, there's a few things I did on that. So, if you look at this one, and we can send out these resources too, if you want. I put it in D, so that's a little bit easier for little hands, right? And even if you played this in a different country, like that would work for having a group sing with it, I feel like, right? That's accessible for them too. So I changed it, it's in 3/4 of all weird things now, right? Like you wouldn't think that in necessarily 12/8. I switched it to 3/4, so it keeps the triplet flowy feel, right? Yeah, but then you could still have that. Now I didn't want to do necessarily a moving hand at all times because that is a lot to think forward to, but it's like, okay, I need to play these 3 notes. Okay, now I have some time to shift my hand to the next pattern that I do in my left hand, things like that. So that's just one of the things that as you're moving forward, trying to create something, those are some things you can keep in mind. Like, is there a way to be able to keep the integrity of the original, but make it so it works for my student?
Sorry if you're going to get to this later, but
Go ahead.
Does everybody transcribe their arrangements? Like, do you use a specific software?
Oh, that's a good question.
Or do you use paper that has staff my authority on it.
Yeah, does anybody? Go ahead.
So I've heard MuseScore is great. I used it back in the day, but I currently use NoteFlight. NoteFlight is free for the first 10 pieces that you do. And even after that, if you just delete the pieces as you go, you can just keep using it for free.
Nice.
Noteflight.com.
NoteFlight.
Yeah.
Now, I use Music Score because I have brass instruments as well as C instruments and sometimes maybe some F instruments.
Yeah. No, that's great. Anybody else have anything else that they use to transcribe?
I use Finale.
Yeah.
And I've had it for like a million years.
Right. Yeah, and I've used Finale, Sibelius, but all of those ones generally, I think there's a couple of the versions that are a free version, but then I don't know what all the limitations are. I've been lucky that I've had the full versions of them, but yeah, a lot of the free versions online, people have said they work really, really great for them, so.
I use a paper and pencil.
Oh, I still use a paper and pencil. That's the funny thing. I actually prefer to still sit down with a paper and pencil and start there. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just old school that way, but
Old school.
yeah. But then when I know I want to finalize it, then I put it into the system and, you know, make some tweaks. But yeah, go ahead.
One time we had a state fireside and this composer, he did all the orchestra music and it didn't match the singers. It was in the wrong key.
Oh,
And so instead of sitting there and redoing all the instrument parts, I sat there and I just changed the singer parts, and that was a whole lot easier.
yeah. That is what's nice about putting in a system. Then if you need to transpose, it's really, really easy to do that. Did you have something? Oh, sorry. Saw your hand up from the side. Okay, anybody else have any tips at this point? Okay, awesome. So, and like I said, on the page I gave you, there are just some good references of some things to keep in mind at different levels that they're at. But again, you each know your students, and you're gonna have some students that will go above and beyond. If it's like, I can play this song, then I'm gonna do whatever you tell me to do. And they will come back and they will have it, and it'll be amazing. Okay, so some of the common left-hand accompaniment patterns are just listed here, kind of from easiest to hardest. So some of the things that you can do, I'm gonna just sit down. So I've got just like a guitar book, okay? So this is just all lead sheets, right? So all you have is the melody and then like your chords above it. So I'm just gonna try to do a couple of these just to kind of show you some options for it. Let's see, I'm gonna go just to the chorus on it. So if we're playing Lion King, okay, because again, Disney songs are one of the things that I swear kids want to do the very, very most, right? So if you're gonna do like a one note bass line, usually you're just gonna do the root of the chord. So. So, pretty simple. That's kind of like the version, the second version of the song before I redid it. That's kind of a little bit more how that one will feel. So if you do like 2-note intervals, it's gonna fill it in a little bit, right? Sorry, I asked for a seventh, so I was trying to give you the seventh. I had to think it for a second. Okay, or if you do the full block chords, most people, when they're first doing it, they're just going to do it in a root position, right? They're not necessarily going to start the inversions unless the students have gotten to that point. But inversions definitely give you better voice leading, right? So you don't feel like you're just jumping all over. So let's see if I can do this on the spot. I don't know if I can. I'm not a good improviser. I will tell you that. I maybe can write music, but I am a terrible improviser. So. Anyway, so things like that. Just being able to readjust with voice leading is really, really helpful. Some other things too, as you're going through and deciding rhythmic patterns, the song that I showed you at the beginning, you mentioned there was a river that's in it, like water, right? So having something that flows is a really nice option. On the page I gave you, which again, I told Shelly we could also distribute this digitally.
So you
But-
guys can have all
So
the
that you can
links.
have all the links. There is this link right here under 4A that has this Amazon Oz or whatever, that it has some really good left-hand pattern resources. I'm like, where's my mouse? It's just like disappeared. So, let me just show you on here really fast. So for instance, it'll go through and show you just lots of different patterns that your left hand can do. Let's bring these upside down. Okay, so I'll reference a few of those. But a lot of these are gonna be ones that you're familiar with. But further down, it actually goes through and talks, I think it's like 6 pages long, but it talks about more like rock and swing patterns, things like that you can do. So that link has these in there. But, so Alberti bass, that's one that we use very often, right? So, I don't know why it likes to decide what it's gonna show you from my screen. I don't understand it, but
Might be a setting.
it's probably a setting, blasted Mac, like it just,
forever.
like, I know.
I can try to work on it.
Okay, if you want to.
Because I do have a Mac.
You do have the Mac. Okay, I opened up the settings, so enjoy.
Okay, I will do that.
But, so same thing, if we took the same, piece and say we wanted to add, what did you get done? Okay. A little bit more. Okay, I didn't like that. I'm trying to think through all my inversions. Anyway, different things that you can add that will definitely make it just feel a little bit different, right? This is like loving the Mac over here. Okay, so another thing too is sometimes you're gonna have a piece where you wanna get a little bit more creative, that maybe you're saying, okay, this is what's always been done in this song, but I wanna do some more color with my chords in it. Maybe instead of using a normal like 1, 4, 5, you're like, oh, I wanna put a little bit of minor stuff in there, give it a little bit more tension. And so I had a teacher years and years ago, like I actually went back and took lessons again as an adult, which is always fun. If you haven't done that, it's a good time. So it's always fun to see how like other people teach, for one, and because it changed the way that I taught, but then also some of the amazing knowledge that she had that I was like, I never even thought of doing that. So one of the things that she had me do was, and some of you maybe are already doing this, oftentimes we'll have students do scales and then do like the primary chords or something, right, as part of that. Okay, so you did your scale, your C scale, okay, now you did 1, 4, 1, 5, 7, 1, something like that, right? So she had me do this chord progression that was 1, 3, 6, 4, 2, 5, 1 for every scale that I did. But she was also a composition major, and she said, this is super helpful for composition, is knowing some of those chord progressions as you're trying to find things with more color, with more variety to it. So, and I do them in like all the inversions too, right? So, that would be like a, right, and then you'd invert it. Woo! Well done. Now I probably won't be able to get it back how it was before, but it's okay. I love it. Good job. So, yeah, so here you go. This is, and like I said, this link is in the other thing. Let me just show you really fast. So blocked chords, we know. Alberti bass, super common, and they show a couple of different, variations on that. And then some different root, like root 5th, 8th patterns, or they call them the pop pattern. And I think that this is what's really, really common in a lot of the music now, is like just different variations on using root 5 and 8. Arpeggios, also super common. I feel like a lot of the big songs out there is like all about how many crossovers can I do in my hand, right? And so your older students are gonna be able to do that, but your younger ones are like, absolutely not, that's not gonna happen. But I like too that it goes into and talks about your ragtime stride, and then some different variations on that, as well as your walking bass, etc. Okay, and then start to syncopate your rhythms. Anyway, this link is in there, and then we'll also have her share it digitally so you can have access to this. So you don't have to type it in, it's a really, really long link that's on the page. So, and rock patterns as well. But anyway, so I mentioned that one chord progression. Let's see if it'll let me switch back over and.
Oh, we can see your whole screen. Well, if you go back to the other one, we can see your whole screen, but that's.
Hey, but now I can see my notes and you can see it the right way,
Yes.
which I think you could before, but
Yeah.
I'm glad we can still see that other page. That's really helpful. Okay, so this one's all done. Thinking. Okay, now it doesn't want to change. We're doing great. Okay, here we go. Okay, perfect. So I mentioned doing some new chord progressions that's different than your original. I always love it too when I love word painting. So if your original song has lyrics and you're reading through it and maybe there's a section of it that's really sad or something else is going on in it, I love going into the minor. I think that that's always a really cool thing to really bring back the message. I have this belief that especially if it's a song that has words, even if you're playing a piano solo version of it, you're still telling a story. And so the more that you can paint that story through the arrangement is really, really helpful. I feel like it ties the student back to the whole message of the piece originally too. So it's kind of like, it's as if you're singing a solo, but you're doing it through an instrument, which I think is really important. And so the other ones that I kind of put in there is, what if you want to start making something a little bit more of a jazz or blues feel? I don't think we always think about that. In jazz and blues, not everybody has like much of a background in it. I actually, again, when we're talking improv, I'm a terrible improviser. So I don't recommend, asking me to do a lot of improvising because I'm not very good at improvising, but I do love sitting down and figuring out jazz. This is a really old jazz kind of theory book. So if you haven't done very much of it, this gives you a really good idea of 11th, 13th, 9th chord, all of these extended chords that you can start using with some of your older students that maybe that's something they would be really interested in. So, but yeah, it'll go through and it'll teach a concept and then it'll go through and usually have some exercises for you to be able to do. And this is one that I used when I was going to school. But it's funny because I absolutely seen this in the music stores all over, so it's not like it's just a college book. And it's really little, so you can get through it pretty fast. So, what's that? Dan, how do I spell it? Haerle. Harold? I don't know. Harley. I don't know. I don't know. It's a different spelling for sure. But, so for instance, when it comes to jazz, and then another fun one is theme and variations, which I'll show you something with that too. I feel like that's something that you can definitely do with some of your older students and get them involved doing it, because I think the more that you can have them help in the creative process, like they're gonna love it that much more. It's gonna be like part of them and they're gonna be so proud to show everybody what I did or what I helped do. And I think theme and variations can be really fun on that. Okay, so here is, Shelly, you wanna come up here for a second?
Yeah.
So this is one that was intended for like piano and a double bass. So that's why you've got this really low, there's no way your hands could like hit any of these, Not even Chopin can like hit those ones, right? Like or Rachmaninoff, none of them can do it. So I'm gonna have you do my bass part right there.
I can do that.
But this is Tomorrow from Annie. So not necessarily a jazz piece, right? But something that you could still get really interesting with. And see all my crazy chords up there? You got your diminished 7th chords and all the fun things. Okay, here we go. Things like that. Okay, so you can get a little bit more color, get a little interesting, but some of it does take kind of that you've worked with these chords a little bit, because they're not your usual things that you're gonna just go and do with every student, right? Sometimes you do a little bit of jazz and then just kind of walk away from it, but jazz can be pretty fun, I think so. Okay, so creativity is intelligence having fun. You can't read that whole thing, but Albert Einstein I don't know what creative things he did other than, maybe getting really creative within the science field, which is not my field. We'll definitely say that, but I love that saying. So what I want to do, we have a little bit of time left, but I want to do a little bit of interactive stuff where you get a chance to, okay, who's my audience, and you get to decide what student am I writing for, and then we'll have you kind of group together and come up with some ideas. So I have a bunch of books up here that you can say, okay, I want to try something from the guitar book, or I've got a Halloween and a Christmas book, because those are probably like, first of all, it's Halloween time, so people are probably asking for that, and Christmas is right around the corner, and everybody wants. Maybe don't do like things of Jingle Bells, because I'm pretty sure there's 10 million versions of Jingle Bells. You probably don't need to come up with them, unless you really want to. Then sure, go for it. So let's kind of split, let's see, we've got like double of you over here of what's over here. So if we can get maybe the last 2 rows work with this group here, and then, but you guys can choose. I brought some manuscript paper. Just sit and chat for a while, decide what you want to do, and then there's the 2 pianos. So if there's like, okay, we want to now try something out and see if we liked it, then come up and do it. And we'll give you guys about, I don't know, 10 minutes to at least come up with a phrase. Does that work? Okay, so let's see. So if you guys want to come here, and then I'll just hand out some stuff and you can decide. Does that work? Okay. Then hopefully we'll have just a couple minutes for any questions you want to ask me or whatever. Who wants to be in charge of the manuscript paper? All right. If you need a pencil, I got a pencil in there too. Okay, here, you're in charge of the manuscript paper. Okay. Does anybody really have a certain book that they want? It's literally pop songs, Halloween, or Christmas. Whoever screams first gets this.
Let's take Christmas.
Ooh, smart. Okay.
Okay.
Here you go. All right, you're down to these. What do you want? Halloween pop.
You're done for the day.
Oh, good. Yeah, you guys can redistribute groups. As long as we got close to the amount, that's great.
Easier option.
Okay. You all like each other. Sit and chat for a little bit and see what you can figure out.
Okay, so which pop song do you guys want to do? Let's see, I'll tell you which we have. We have Can You Feel Love Tonight? My heart will go on. Let's use that guitar. Just plop it all my lemon love.
And if you have questions or anything, let me know and I'll come help.
My girl. So it's Justin Lynn, Maggie, Imagine.
Maybe, yeah,
Maybe Amor. I shot the sheriff.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Let it snow.
I get around. Walk, don't run. Smells like Teen Spirit. I don't even know that one either, guys. Okay, so which one are we all gonna know? The answer, or actually know at least the two.
Yeah, Let It Be, or Stand By Me, or
Yeah, one of those 2.
I think we all know My Girl.
Okay, or
But that's
Imagine, probably, that's the combination. Okay, so let's see what,
Then the question is what key are you?
oh, Let It Be is in C. That's a good one. So let's see. Oh, no, they're not.
That's the nice thing with guitar though, you're probably not gonna get crazy keys.
Stand By Me.
That's what I'm thinking. We need to make it simpler.
Okay.
So we could add variations.
Okay, you guys okay with Let It Be? Okay, here we go. So are we gonna say what a little bit of
Especially when you do it by ear, especially with something like, yeah, when it's not like this, that we all, that's right, when they're not supposed to. Stop doing it. Please stop doing this.
An idiot?
No, all right, where's our variation?
Like me here.
You need another book to write on.
8-year-old boy that's about to quit piano needs something fun, right?
So we're gonna give him Let It Be, all right.
Okay, cool. I've got a hard book here too. You can work. There you go.
Like the Beatles.
Everybody's like, you do it. No, you do it.
Okay, so should we C, G, A minor, F?
Should we skip the intro?
Let's skip the intro. We have 4 chords.
Start on the melody.
Yep. Maybe start with that. Rather
You
than.
can keep the bass line here, for sure.
So that they,
Because it's
if you're
gonna
trying
be
to get
simplified
started
with the right hand melody, so you want more interest in the left, maybe.
So you're talking about starting with the chorus. So should we start by
Well, we
arranging
want
the
more
chorus, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea.
Maybe like a level 2.
Okay, so what kind of, we'll do new
who wrote the words to this, said he was really discouraged when he went music clearly. When he after the CC, whose name was Mary, came to him in his dream. And this is how he said, a lot of people when they read this, they think of the Virgin Mary. But it was really written about him.
So it's not, so it's not a Mary.
That's not a very
It's not a religious song. So do we wanna make it, do we wanna make it ethereal then, because it was his dream?
Yes. And, did she sing in lullabies in his childhood?
I'm sure that's the pitch.
I don't think the kids want a lullaby, but I'm thinking lullaby.
But it depends, I mean, if it's a girl, maybe not, I mean, maybe, if it's a boy, maybe not,
You
but.
just do a straight C, C, E, G, C chord, da, 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 so it's there.
So you wanna do like an arpeggio?
Yeah, arpeggio.
Okay.
Try that.
Who wants to write?
Right, I just need someone to.
Here, but you can focus.
The accents on the second note in that song.
What?
The accents on the second note. It's usually syncopate. Dun, 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 dun.
Well, obviously, since this is a guitar book, it's gonna just have everything pretty much in, just straight rhythm.
What do you do when the rhythm is totally unsatisfying because it's a simplified book? I mean.
You change it.
The kid. What you're really doing there is more correct, so let's put that correct, and I'll show you what it would be, and let's dot this and put a flag there, because they don't wanna play it the wrong way.
But like, just like Julie said though, they're gonna, a lot of times they play it the way they hear it, they don't play it the way that it's actually written.
Yeah.
And that's why, that is, to me, that's a teaching opportunity. Look, you're playing it the right way, the way it really sounds. Let me show you how that rhythm is.
Well, yeah.
I explain it like, they notate it as best they can to match.
No one's judging your manuscript abilities, like your transcription abilities, you're doing great. Don't even worry about those values right now, it's like, just enough.
Well, we're only doing, okay, we're only doing a grade, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, just, okay, just let it be then, they say,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they said they wanted to start with the chorus, just because that's the part
Oh,
everybody
chorus
knows
is
the best.
a good place to start for sure.
Yeah, I would say that's.
And do we want, okay, if this is
That's
like the
true.
winner, do we keep it in this register, we want it down by middle C, but then it dips down to the G below, so do we want this, I don't know.
Well, but technically that G the left hand could take.
It could, yeah.
And
Do we
I've had
wanna
my
do that?
students do that before, just even if they're playing chords or
Do we wanna
something,
keep it near middle C?
I think that would be a better option. I would say start with the E below.
And then have them repeat it for the AP8.
Yeah, and then that makes it really easy because then they don't have to read it higher.
I better go to my new measurement.
You got about 5 minutes left.
That's okay. Is that even gonna be quarter? Are we doing daughter?
It's an E.
Oh, thank you.
That's a good idea, they're gonna probably do the rhythm by ear.
So what you guys decide to do on your left hand?
Quarter notes?
No, transcribing.
So,
Okay, that's-
listen to something about where the words came from. Oh, it was the interview they did. About the words. That he was equipped as a pastor. And he had a dream. His mother, whose name was Mary, came to him.
Mother Mary.
This is all right.
It's actually the mother. It's not the Virgin Mary.
Do we want to keep the quarter note, so to make it easy for this late beginner, did they say they wanna have,
Oh, we could do 8 notes, probably if it's a late beginner or early intermediate.
right, is
Yeah.
what they're, so, you know, like,
Yeah,
what,
that's what we want.
is that what, okay, okay.
Well, I don't know. if
Through
you
the whole
want that.
thing, or just in part of it?
Our ears want to recognize it. So, in general, books like this have nothing based on reality of the real rhythm.
I'm just trying to decide where to.
It's like,
Right? But they give you, but you don't have to transcribe it by ear. They at least make it so you can at least see and you can see the chords. So it's a reference.
Yeah.
Right, and there's, you know, there's a two.
That's what I decided.
Because depending on the kid, they can't read that rhythm.
It's a beat.
Right. Yeah. So what do we want, so if we're doing arpeggiated left-hand chords, do we want
Yeah,
it?
do you
Do
get
we
up to
just
the-
want it within a 5-finger pattern, or do we want it actually to move?
It could move, but I would say not, you're gonna have to cross over.
Okay.
Okay, and then how about
So like the ones that I went back to the eighth and then to the
One, so we're doing 1, 5, 8, 5?
That doesn't sound right. I'm all that, I got a 5, 20.
So you're thinking already.
Yeah.
But kind of going slowly.
Or you could just do the notes of the chord, da, 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 and hold. So,
So 5, 3, 1,
or whatever.
or any, or 3, 1, 5, or whatever it is that we want.
Okay.
So we're thinking about the
She
3
sounds
notes.
stressed. Okay.
But doing it in, not necessarily 5, 3, 1, not 5, 1, 3, 1, 5. So
I think we have some perfectionists here. I mean, the words, when I'm like writing it fast, I'm like slash go. Like, it's so.
Like keeping it in group position. Yeah.
She is, I know, she's feeling judged, even though you all are not judging her at all. So
There you go,
like, no.
Jenny, go play.
You're so glad you're not doing it, right?
Yeah.
That's how I am.
You could just do like a left hand.
No, I would say we would all go stand by the piano.
Hey, you have like a minute left.
Oh, we're gonna have to hurry this.
It's gonna be amazing.
Minute left, let's go.
You're doing great.
You got the chords? She's got them. So,
But if we're down.
This is where we're on the music here. Left it right here, so
so you do something like,
So 5, 1, 3, so it's like a flat.
I don't know. I think that's what she was, I think that's what she was talking about, is doing 3 notes and then like, then you could move to the next one.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, but you can try.
Oh, no, I'm.
Doesn't have to be in group necessarily.
When having the piano is necessary.
Yeah, well, no, she just said one.
I will never just like write it totally away from the piano and then get there and be like, oh no, that was a total waste of my time. Well, I mostly work from home, and so my
Well, that would kind of be easy for them.
desk is in my music room.
And then I was trying to figure out where to go for the, to the F.
See, now because it dips into.
I mean, I love all the
melody
theory
that
stuff,
conveys,
like
I would
work
just
it
say
out, and I
like
use it to write down.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Like, okay, let's try this and this and this, and then I'll sit down and be like, okay, like this.
Is it C is what it is?
Yeah.
It is, so.
Look at that, we just figured it out.
Since the right hand is doing a whole note, maybe the left hand can do a little bit more there.
There you go.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look at that. We figured it out. Yes, yes.
You're like, you win, you get to present. Hey, we'll have everybody share in just a second.
I'm writing down what you did.
They're just getting to the end of their praise, right? You guys are about there. You guys are doing great. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so what we'll have you tell once you get here is what level you wanted to arrange for. You already chose your song, and then what notation decisions and why you chose that. So like your story was great. Like
Yeah.
what you were trying to recreate, you went with the left hand being left, things like that.
Well, you could also just write a finger 5 on the C.
Not you, Linda, this Linda. Sorry.
She's like, wait, what? What did I say?
That song that we did, we tell everyone.
Everybody needs.
Or they could just extend the thumb. Yeah, that's not that bad, to extend one note down. Yeah, yeah.
You can say it's not.
Oh, is it going from F to C? Oh, yeah, then that would be a problem. Or they can just do a crossover.
Showed up in a dream, that's a little bit.
Yeah.
If they reset their hand, so if they just read a phrase on F,
Just have both thumbs on the C string.
When you're back in finance, it talks about individuals.
Okay, well, you guys are finishing this up. Should we have them show us what they did? Okay. Okay, so you guys didn't give names for yourselves or anything. So this group, we're gonna let you show us what you did and then answer these questions. And they're just wrapping up, writing their couple of things, so.
Okay.
Okay, so what level did you guys arrange for? About? Late beginner. Late beginner. Okay, perfect. And then your song was
Let It Be.
Let It Be. Okay, some Beatles going on here, right? Okay, and then what decisions did you make?
Linda needs to tell her story
Okay.
about the Beatles, so you can all know this story.
Okay, so anybody who's not like working on these last little touch-ups, let's listen to Linda's story.
I recently saw an interview that they did with Paul McCartney, and this was, the old Paul McCartney, not the young one. And he was talking about one time when he was really discouraged and thinking about quitting music totally, and his mother's name was Mary, and he started by telling about his mother, but anyway, one night he dreamed his mother came to him and told him, just don't worry about it, just let it be and keep working on your music. And that is what inspired this song. And he said it really was written about his mother, whose name was Mary, but a lot of people have interpreted it to be about the Virgin Mary.
So it says Mother Mary in one of the verses, yeah.
So I just thought that was an interesting little trivia.
Makes
So,
it a different.
did that impact what you decided to do for like your left-hand accompaniment?
A little bit, so we did a little dream and
We tried to make it more broken, ethereal.
Okay.
Arpeggiated.
Okay, perfect. And who's gonna play what you did?
Jenny is, because she was awesome.
Okay, Jenny, here we go.
Like as if I need Hillary with me, but whatever, we didn't make it. Well, the lead sheet had this, we changed a little bit of the rhythms, but we're still not like right on. Perfect. That's up.
Awesome. Good job. No, and I love that you had something inspiration-wise that took you into why you wanted to do it that way. So it still had a lot of parts that kept from the original, so you're like, oh, and obviously the melody helps everything because that's what keeps it to the original the most. But what was different about how you did it versus the original? Those that know the original very well. There's so many. Yeah, that's for sure. Awesome. Well, you guys did a really good job. That was like really short time frame. So, are you gonna play it?
Sure.
Okay. Now this is the first time at the piano. We're gonna see how it goes. Let's like. Hey, it's all good. There are no right or wrong answers here. We're excited. Here, let me get out of the way. Sure.
So let it snow. They wanted to keep. Well, we put the right hand up high at first, and then moved the right hand down so that they could stay. So like the left hand starts a little bit with the melody, and then the right hand comes back for it.
So approximately what level were you guys arranging for, do you feel like?
It's kind of beginner level, but somebody who knows how to do some left hand and like, move a little bit. So maybe, I don't want to say late beginner, but like.
Primary one?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I don't know. So the rhythm, the dotted rhythm, would be a little more advanced in the beginning.
But again, the nice thing, especially when you have familiar music, I feel like that is a really good time to present to students some new rhythms that maybe they wouldn't normally be able to do, but they know what it sounds like already, right? So they can use their ear a little bit too. Good job, everybody. Awesome. Well, hopefully this at least gave you a few ideas of things that you can go home and try. I definitely recommend writing at the piano all the time. I was mentioning to this group, I said, I don't usually just sit down and try to write without it, because that's your best tool that you have, obviously. And even if you have perfect pitch, it doesn't always like work out the way that you think it does in your head, and so it's really nice to be able to do it, especially if you're starting to try to, you know, do inversions or things like that. Sometimes you think an inversion is going to work really nicely, and you're like, oh, I really need that. I need that, you know, root as my baseline, something like that. So anyway, that's it for today. But if you guys have any questions afterwards, feel free to ask me anything that you want to know. But great job. I hope this helps.